So one of the boards that I was really excited last year was the Acedeck Z1 because it is a gear drive mountain board and it is the first time I've seen it from a big company, or at least like a production board company. Mountain boards have a very special place in my heart because that's what I was after when I was doing my DIY boards. And I gotta say, Acedeck did an amazing job on it. The board felt really good. The build quality was very premium. So I like that board a lot. But this year, Acedeck has switched gears a little bit, if you catch my drift. And they have released their Z1 Street. So it is a street version of the Z1, and we'll see what's the difference between a street and a non-street. Welcome to the Acedeck Z1 Street. One of my favorite things about the original Z1 was the deck. Their deck was really amazing. I used to have a Hero Bro deck. In the DIY community, it's regarded to be one of the best decks to be used on a mountain board. And I'm pretty sure Acedeck took some very good hints from that deck because it felt really similar to me, although a little bit on the harder side, but that deck was really great. So on the Z1 Street, they have changed up the deck design very subtly, but you can see it at the front and the back of the deck where the trucks are, that they did change it up slightly, but it's not that much. And aesthetically speaking, I personally preferred the older ones. They look a little bit more rounded and but hey, I'm welcoming change, and this deck is still amazing and I still really like it. So what you're going to see that is missing from this deck is the mounting holes for the bindings, because this is advertised as a street version of the Z1, so you're not going to have mounting holes for bindings. If you want the ones with the bindings and all that, probably go for the 2023 version of the Z1, or you could make the holes yourself. In my opinion, that's a very minor thing because you can drill holes into your deck pretty easily. And yeah, and if you're doing that, make sure you wear gloves because there is carbon fiber in there, and if you get it onto your hand, it is going to be a little bit itchy. So on the sides of the deck, it is flanging up. The concave feels very great. Like I said in the previous video, Acedeck really nails down their concave designs. This just feels very good under your foot. Because this is a mountain board, it tilts up both at the front and the back of the deck, so to accommodate the mountain board turning characteristics, because the trucks themselves don't have any angle. So if you want to change angles on this board, you probably have to get angled risers, so then you can change the angle of the trucks. So if you want it to be a little bit less responsive in the back, you angle it down like 5 degrees maybe. And in the front, if you want to be a little bit more nimble, you can angle up 5 degrees. Very nice. This deck for me is on the harder side, which means it will be better for high-speed cruising. The Hero Bro deck that I did with my DIY board, it was the medium flex, so it was quite a bit more flexy than this, and it provided a little bit more comfort. But the Z1 Streets deck, it is a little bit on the firm side, but even on crappy roads and potholes and all that, you're not going to feel any discomfort from, you know, shaking, rattling on the ground, or just like bumps. You're not really going to feel that, and this deck is just really great. And because of the concave, you can really put your weight onto the sides of the deck. That is going to be very helpful while turning, and in general, it just gives you better control. The deck design looks about the same as the old Z1. There are some minor changes here and there. The grip tape is still their coarse grip tape, and it really grips your feet very well, so you don't have to worry about your feet moving positions while you're like turning and all that. Sometimes with smooth grip tape, if there's a bump, your feet lets off a little bit and you're gonna slide a little bit your foot. But on a coarser grip tape, that happens less, and in my opinion, it should be an industry standard at this point. Some boards still have like smoother grip tape, but the coarse grip tape really feels very good. Next up is the trucks. The trucks, I believe they're the same trucks from the Z1. The Z1's trucks were amazing, and I'm happy that they kept it. I don't think they really changed anything about them. They're like a hollow design, looks very futuristic, and you know, precision CNC'd aluminum, you know, that is It just looks very sleek and very futuristic. I really like this. And it is an MBS style mountain board truck. So it is going to use bushings instead of like Trampa when they use springs. So you're going to have some bushing options for the Z1 Streets truck. These trucks are really wide, and on a mountain board, that is the norm. So on the Z1 Street, there's no exception. On these trucks, turning does feel a little bit muted, but if you put some more pressures on the deck, you're going to turn pretty well. And I'm personally not that used to riding a mountain board without bindings, so this feeling was a little bit unfamiliar to me, and it takes a little bit to get used to. But we did have an incident where the bushings popped off out of the truck, although it does sound very scary, but you can stop in time and you can avoid a fall for sure. I think that is a department that Acedeck kind of needs to go work on, because bushings falling out of your trucks is definitely not a good look. Next up, we're going to talk about probably one of the biggest changes. It is going to be the tires. This time on the Z1 Street, they're going to use a tubeless tire, and I said in a previous video for the N1 that tubeless tires are amazing and I really like them. So one of the biggest problems we had with the original Z1 was that Chase Tooth Parker really likes to jump on this board, and he has popped a lot of inner tubes. And at some point we just didn't have enough spares to keep it up, so I just sat collecting dust for like a week. But this time on the Z1 Street, it is going to be tubeless tires, which means you're not going to have to worry about inner tire popping, you know, when you're like jumping down. So that is going to be very great. It's a godsend, at least for us. So these tubeless tires, they perform very well. They grip the ground extremely well. And because it is tubeless, if you have a puncture, you have to use the, you know, the car puncture kit where you have to like make the hole bigger and then stick a noodle in there to like plug it up. Yes. Or alternatively, you could use some self-sealers inside of them if you want to. So these wheels, they're 180 millimeters, and they filter out vibrations on the road brilliantly. So in terms of looks, it does look a lot more like a street tire than an off-road tire, so it does fit the street name. And I just gotta say, these wheels, they grip on the ground phenomenally. When you're stopping, like if you pull the brake really hard, it is going to break traction and make that iconic sound when it scratches on the ground. With more grip, it also means it is going to get off the line quicker, but with the original Z1, it was already getting off the line extremely fast. So the street version, I think it is going to do just that. The design of the rims, they are the same as it is on the Z1. They were pretty good to start with, and I really like their design, CNC'd everything. It's really great. I love to see that. So this time on the street version, they're not using their custom-made motors anymore. So this time it's a 6384 motor. So they are a little bit smaller than the ones that they used on the original Z1, but the power output is still going to be the same. And I think if anything breaks, you're going to have an easier time finding replacements for these 6374 motors than the original custom-made motors, because they're just more readily available. And in general, I think repairability is a definitely plus here. So the Z1 Street, as the same as the original Z1, it is using a gear drive. So gear drives, they are really great. I love gear drives. They look very cool. The casing, you can make like any shape you want, and just looks very clean. And there are gears inside, so they're engaging directly, so you can have the motors closer to your trucks, and it's going to look cleaner because of that. So you're not gonna have two big fat motors just sticking out of the back of your board that much. And paired with the smaller motors, it is going to recede even more. So ideally, you probably won't be able to hit the motors when you hit a wall while backing up. Very nice. And gear drives, in my personal experience, they have been more efficient than belt drive. When I was using the Vest, I can see the difference between the watt hours used and gear drive. Usually it beats out the belt drive by a little bit, not that much. On the belt drive, I was getting like 15 to 14 watt hours per kilometer, and on the gear drive, I was getting closer to 10 or 11. So gear drives, they're going to be a little bit more efficient, and Acedeck's gear drives, they are really silent. The sounds you're going to hear is going to be from the motors and not the gears themselves. We've gone a long way in gear drive designs. Originally, we had gear drives that were so loud you can hear them screeching down the road, but with Acedeck's gear drives, they're really quiet. You are barely able to hear them at all. And another plus of the gear drive is that they're pretty much maintenance free. Belt drive, you have a snap belt, you're going to have to replace that. And hub drives, when you have like a bearing that's breaking or like squeaking, that is going to be very annoying. But with gear drive, the gears are replaceable if anything happens to them, and they're just in that enclosed space. There's not going to be little rocks or anything getting in there, so they're going to last longer. And in general, gear drives are so good. The only disadvantage that I could see from a gear drive is the weight. Gear drives, because of their enclosures and just basically more material needed for it to work, means that it is going to be heavier. So if you're doing jumps, gears are going to weigh you down a little bit in the back compared to belts, and that is just something that you have to live with. And me personally, I'm willing to make that sacrifice because gears, they are worry-free and they perform so well. As for the ESC, they're using the same ESC as they had on the original Z1. It is a 90 amp ESC, which means it is very freaking powerful. It is going to blow out most of the things you have on the market very easily. 90 amps, that is a lot of power to put through those motors. 90 amps, they're like battery amps, not like on the Vest you see the motor amps, 90 amps. On the Vest, the 90 motor amps, it's going to feel kind of weak-ish. But on the Z1 Street and pretty much the Z1 series, it's 90 amps from the battery. It is insane. And especially that it is a 14S system. Torque is amazing on this board. We haven't yet able to max it out at all. The closest we gotten was like 72 amps. But getting to 90 amps, we can't max it out. Trust me, we tried. As for the battery, Acedeck has given you guys two battery options. You have either the 14S 3P or the 14S 4P. And they're all Samsung 40T cells. Samsung cells, very good. 40T, very good. They can push out a ton of current, and in this case, it is definitely going to do that. So we got the 4P version, and the range that we got was 53 kilometers. Chase Mason Tooth Parker did this test all by himself. So he is a lighter guy, which means for regular people, the range is going to be slightly lower. But that also depends on your ride style, because Chase Mason Tooth Parker, although he's lighter, he's pegging it all the way pretty much all the time. And the top speed of the Z1 Street is 60 kilometers an hour, and I can confirm because Chase Mason Tooth Parker has already hit that speed. He just goes out at 1 a.m. at night and just zooms in the city. Crazy guy. Charging time on the Z1 Street is about 4 hours from flat to full, so it is going to take a little while, but for amount of fun you're having, I wouldn't mind waiting for a little bit. And there's going to be a aesthetical difference that you're going to find between the Z1 and the Z1 Street. The Z1 Street has brake lights. Amazing. The brake lights are integrated into the ESC box, so it's on the back, and you can see at night that you're braking. It's fantastic. It's amazing. The brake light designs are a little bit on the, I don't know, cyberpunk side. It's an acquired taste. So the Z1 Street is for people that are not sure if they want a mountain board yet, so they want to try it out a little bit. And the Z1 Street, you can use it pretty much as a street board. It is going to feel amazing on the road. Those tubeless tires are going to eat up anything you throw at it, so it is going to be an amazing ride. At some point, you might want to go on some trails, or in general, for a more controlled feel. Then you can probably drill some holes onto the deck and then put bindings on them. It is going to feel very nice in that way as well. Because with bindings, you're going to have more control of the board and you could put more force while turning. If you're going to convert it to a mountain board, like a proper mountain board, and then I would recommend you switch out the bushings, because the stock bushings, they're 75A, they're going to be a little bit too soft if you put bindings on them. But as a street board, it feels very nice on the road. It is going to be one of the smoothest rides you have ever had, but with a shit ton of power, like a shit ton of power. If you're not careful with it, it is going to send beneath your feet and you're gonna fall on the ground. That is speaking from experience. So the Acedeck Z1 Street, it is a very, very powerful board. You can use it as a street board or as a mountain board, whatever you like. It is a premium board most definitely, and the build quality reflects that. Acedeck is pumping out new boards like left and right. This one is giving me the same excitement as I did have back when the original Z1 launched. The Z1 Street, very, very nice. Keep up the good work, Acedeck. You guys are doing something right here. They're probably like a first production board company that took the mountain board formula and converted it to street use. And it is definitely an experiment, and it is working out really well in practice for us. So thank you for watching the video on the Z1 Street. It is a very sweet board. If you would like to get one yourself, I'll leave the affiliate link and the discount code in the description. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you very much, and have fun riding and stay safe out there.